Good afternoon. The OMNI Committee, the OMNI Community Redevelopment Agency will come to order. Mr. Barnaby Min, will you please read us our rules of procedure?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to Executive Order number 20-69 issued by the Office of Governor Ron DeSantis on March 20th, 2020, the OMNI Redevelopment District Community Redevelopment Agency Board of Commissioners is conducting this meeting without having a quorum of its members present physically or any specific location, and utilizing communications media technology such as telephonic or video conferencing as provided by Section 120.54, Subsection 5, Subsection B, Subsection 2 of the Florida statutes. Since this is a virtual meeting as authorized by the Governor of the State of Florida, members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by visiting cityofmiami.az/JFE/form/SV_6EASIO4ROTJPUS1 as published in the notice to upload video comments via the dedicated OMNI CRA public comment voice, to upload online comments. Members of the public may also call 305-679-6866 to provide comments via the dedicated OMNI CRA public comment voicemail. All comments submitted will be included as part of the public record for this virtual meeting and will be considered by the Board of Commissioners prior to any action taken. The OMNI CRA will also accommodate any speakers desiring to appear in person, subject to all applicable emergency measures in place to prevent the further spread of COVID-19. Speakers who appear in person will be subject to screening for symptoms of COVID-19. Any persons exhibiting any symptoms of COVID-19 will not be permitted to enter City Hall. All interested parties are required to abide by all state, county, and local emergency orders and are urged to remain at home, practice social distancing, and cover their mouth and nose. All of these public comment options for the OMNI CRA meeting comply with Section 286.014 and Section 120.54 Florida statutes. Section 286.014, Section 4, Section 6, Section 286.014, Subsection 4, Subsection C, the Florida statutes, specifically authorizing the OMNI CRA to prescribe procedures or forms for an individual to use in order to inform the board or commission of a desire to be heard to indicate his or her support, opposition, or neutrality on a proposition. The OMNI CRA, through its multiple public comment options, has provided different procedures and forms to indicate, among other things, his or her support, opposition, neutrality on the items and topics to be discussed at the virtual OMNI CRA meeting. The OMNI CRA provided information on how to submit comments in the notice to the public and on the city's and OMNI CRA's web pages. If the propositions be continued or rescheduled, the opportunity to be heard may be at such later date before the Board of Commissioners takes action on such proposition. When the Board of Commissioners takes action or votes on any proposition before it, it shall do so by roll call vote, which shall be recorded by the clerk included in the record. The OMNI CRA is using Zoom platform to hold its April 9th, 2020 virtual meeting. Zoom is a cloud platform for video and audio conferencing, collaboration, chat, and webinars across mobile devices, desktops, telephones, and room systems. In order to ensure that the public has the ability to view the meeting, the City of Miami's Communications Department will broadcast the meeting through all usual channels and avenues that are provided when a City Commission meeting is held, fully in Commission chambers at City Hall. The meeting can be viewed live on Miami TV at miamigov.com, through the City's Facebook page at facebook.com/cityofmiamigov, on the City's Periscope channel at twitter.com/City of Miami, on Comcast Channel 77. The broadcast will also have closed captioning. Additionally, OMNI CRA has not selected a virtual platform that requires the public to purchase or download any additional software equipment to watch this meeting. Aside from the Zoom platform and that the participant will appear remotely, the public will have no discernible difference in their ability to watch the meeting. Members of the Board of Commissioners are comfortable with the notice provisions as set forth to use these uniform rules and procedures that we have established for this virtual meeting.
Thank you, Barnaby. Someone that talks faster than me. That was very good. Thank you very much. Let the record reflect that we have a quorum. We have some public comments. I think one comment. Mr. Clerk, how many do we have? We have three voicemails. Mr. Clerk, will you play the public comments for us on the items?
Good evening. My name is Jenny Vargas. I live at 4171 Pomona Avenue, Miami, Florida, 33133, and I'm calling with regards to item 5 for tomorrow's agenda. I just wanted to voice my support for the West Grove and anything that can be done to revitalize the area around Grand Avenue especially. I'd like to see more affordable housing for the longtime residents of the West Grove. I would hate to see more gentrification of the area. And I, of course, would like to see those ugly and abandoned buildings gone and replaced with healthier housing. It's clear, especially in times like this, that people shouldn't be living in those conditions. Thank you very much for your attention. Bye-bye.
Hello, this is Melissa Meyer of 3161 Ohio Street in the Coconut Grove Village West. My family has waited 25 years for our neighborhood to be included in the OMNI CRA expansion, item number 5. That's 25 years of community meetings, 25 years of political rallying, and 25 years of commission meetings to finally have the opportunity for new substantial tax revenue generated within our own neighborhood stay within our own neighborhood for rehabilitation, street and park improvements, historic preservation, and desperately needed affordable housing. To have this item heard during the middle of a global pandemic, when many of those who have worked so hard to expand the OMNI CRA cannot participate in a virtual commission meeting at this time because they are busy saving lives, at a time when we are facing the worst economic calamity in the history of the United States, when we know that even more displacement is on the horizon, is unscrupulous, unjust, and immoral. This item must be tabled until we resume normal working conditions and the community that fought so hard to expand the OMNI CRA to Coconut Grove Village West can fully participate.
Greetings. My name is Clarice Cooper. I live at 3735 Oak Avenue in Coconut Grove, Miami, Florida, 33133. I'm requesting to speak to the chairperson and the members of the board of the OMNI Community Redevelopment Agency, also known as the CRA, in regards to the item whereby the expansion of the OMNI CRA into Village West or West Grove would be terminated. And this is the statement. We, the Executive Board of the Coconut Grove Village West Homeowners and Tenants Association, of which I am the president and is also known as HODA, are not in favor of the OMNI Board, CRA Board's intention to cease the negotiation process of expanding the CRA into Coconut Grove Village West. From its inception, HODA resoundingly supported the proposal of then chairperson of the OMNI CRA, who was District 2 Commissioner Ken Russell, to expand the CRA into Coconut Grove Village West. We anticipated that effectuating the expansion proposal would provide more timely availability of access to funding for affordable housing, employment opportunities, and other vital infrastructure which this community sorely is in need of and which is long overdue. I would like to add here that the City Commission unanimously supported the expansion in January of 2018, and also the finding of necessity proved that this community met the criteria for the expansion. Therefore, in the absence of a better suited alternative proposal that has been fully collaborated with the community stakeholders and without which Village West would be completely left in limbo for an unknown period of time, we cannot support scuttling the expansion plan. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that is all the verbal comments. There are written comments that have been provided to all the elected officials and that are now entered into the record for the commissioner's consideration.
So all the written comments have been provided to you, commissioners. Let the record reflect that we have a quorum, which I didn't say earlier in the meeting when I started. And we have the first item is Resolution 1. I'm going to recognize Mr. Jason Walker, Executive Director, to go through it. You recognize Mr. Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 5 items on the agenda today. Before we move forward, I would like for a motion to withdraw resolution number 2 and number 3.
Yeah, we're going to do that in a minute, but go ahead and let's present resolution 1, item 1. I just want you to do that first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then we'll withdraw when we get.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was still the other way around. Sorry. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the OMNI Redevelopment District Community Redevelopment Agency by a 4/5 affirmative vote after an advertised public hearing, ratifying, approving, and confirming the Executive Director's recommendation and finding that competitive negotiation methods and procedures are not practical or advantageous pursuant to sections 18 and 8 through 85 and 18-86 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended as adopted by the CRA, waiving the requirements for competitive sealed bidding as not being practical or advantageous to the CRA, allocating grant funds in the amount not to exceed $5.5 billion for a mixed-use development project of properties located at 70 Northeast 17th Street, 90 Northeast 17th Street, and 1642 Northeast 1st Avenue, Miami, Florida, all located in the CRA's redevelopment area, to the NR Investment LLC, subject to the CRA being able to successfully secure funding from a financial institution and subject to the availability of funds. Authorizing the executive director to negotiate and execute any and all agreements necessary, all in a form acceptable to the general counsel for the purposes herein. Board members, this is a companion item to a TIF agreement that was passed in October. This is for a 252 multifamily mixed-use development in the OMNI CRA, which would completely be in the affordability category. 50% of the building would be at 140% AMI, and the other 50% would be a mixture of affordability. We're asking for approval for this item. I think the proposer of the grant is on the line and may have a presentation available. If you have any questions, we're here. This is also, by the way, this item was heard in October, and since October, through the chairman's office, we've been able to negotiate a $1 million reduction in the request for the grant. So this is for $5.5 million instead of the $6.5 million that was originally contemplated. Mr. Chairman, I see that the proposer is now on. If he would like to start with his presentation.
Well, I think Commissioner Russell has a question of you, Mr. Walker.
Thank you. You mentioned that 50% is at the 140. I know there had been some changes, so I'd just like to make sure it's on the record what the new mix is for the other 50%. What's at 60%?
That's a very good point, Commissioner. We were going to have Mr. Shoshani do the presentation and walk through all of the different breakdown, but yes, there are. We're at 60, at 80, and 100, 120, 140. He'll give us a breakdown of how many units in each category. We were very adamant, and I was very adamant that number one, we had to reduce it by $1 million that they were requesting. It was initially 6.5. We brought that down to 5.5. I was also very adamant that we keep as many units as we could at the 60 to 100% AMI level to have this workforce and affordability for the people in that area that desperately need it. So we had some tough negotiations. Mr. Shoshani's been a great negotiating partner, a fair man, who I think has a good proposal for a building that's going to do good stuff for this part of the community. But let's hear his presentation. If you have any questions, and we can go back and we'll be able to address them as we move forward. So is Mr. Shoshani on the line?
Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
I hear you there, yes.
Okay, Mr. Chair, Mark Sarnoff on behalf of Judson Bone and on behalf of NR Investments.
You're recognized, Mark.
Thank you. We have a PowerPoint presentation. I don't know the ability. I guess we have it up coming up. There you go. So I thought we'd start with who we are, what we're doing, and go on from there. So NR Investments. NR Investments is proposing the only fully restricted workforce project in the city of Miami, where we will present to you 252 affordable housing projects. And as you know, this is Miami's first 100% fully restricted workforce housing project. We're a little bit about us. We are a vertically integrated real estate firm. We've been in Miami since 2001. We focus primarily on development, construction of asset management. In 2019, we had 120 employees. We had 4,000 units in the Central Florida area that we converted from market to workforce affordable. In around 2012, NR Investments purchased the abandoned filling station. I think you all know where that is. And in doing so, they also created what was known as the Arts and Entertainment District, investing approximately $2 million to create a sense of place, if you will. In 2014, the filling station was completed, and they in fact purchased 3 additional lots, one of which is the one we're looking at right here, which will be the first fully restricted workforce project, 29-story tower with 252 units. It is not only mixed income, it is equally mixed use. Now, what we did do, or what you did, Mr. Chair, in your negotiations, which I would categorize as pretty rigorous, we have some structure to the deal that you wanted to hear, which is 60% AMI, or 12 units, or making up 5% of the deal, are now part of that 250. 80% AMI, or 26 units, make up 10%. 100% AMI, or 39 units, make up 15%. 120% AMI, or 49 units, make up 20%. 140 AMI, or 126 units, make up 50%. What is very important to you, Mr. Chair, was that the AMI weighted average was 99.4%, so it was below the 100% AMI. The rental loss associated with this particular building for market is about 18 million, 17.9 million to be pretty damn accurate, or $8.2 million in what they call present value. The permit fees for this particular project will be approximately $3.2 million, with $2.3 million going to the county, Wausau, and the city of Miami. So we are today asking you for the chairs, if you will, your negotiation to be culminated in this $5.5 million grant. We would have the only completely workforce units in the city of Miami, 100% dedicated. We are right in the central business district. Why we think that is important, as you know, we're taking advantage of the workforce that exists here and trying to attract others to come here. Specifically, we're looking to get hospitality service workers, teachers, police officers, firefighters, and recent college graduates. We are looking to be in the category of approximately $46,000 to up to about $53,000 to $56,000 for employees who need that help instead of traveling so far south to or from Homestead, that they can be in the central business core and here in the city of Miami. The when of this, it happens very, very shortly. We are a phased permit, which is going to begin in May. Estimated groundbreaking will be in June of 2020, and the delivery will be by September of 2022. So we are, in that famous colloquial term, we are ready to go, and we are a project that is here right now with a firm who has a great deal of experience in doing this. And if you have any further questions, we are more than willing and able to answer them.
Thank you, Commissioner Sarnoff. Members, are there any questions?
Yes.
Commissioner
Where's
Carrasco?
Mr. Shani?
Here he is.
He's here.
I'm right here, Commissioner. We haven't had the pleasure.
That's right. How do you do, sir?
I'm very well, sir. How are you?
Good, good. I was just wondering if you were here or not, but I was forced to be the vice chairman.
I remember that meeting well.
Okay.
Commissioner, I don't know any human beings ever force you to do anything, so I think
Yeah.
I think you acquiesced and you said, okay, let me help him out.
I was told that the new bylaws of the OMNI CRA is that after the chairman negotiates, the vice chairman finishes it off. So I don't know if we should start here or.
We haven't approved those yet. We're going to do that at the next meeting, Commissioner.
Anyway, I trust that the executive director that's been around for a while and was helped during the leadership of Commissioner Russell as chairman, and the new chairman would have negotiated with you sufficiently that you can't squeeze anything more out of this deal. From what I'm seeing, it certainly seems the case. You're putting in $1 million more. We're putting in $1 million less, and the numbers certainly seem more in line with what I consider workforce, and it's certainly the first full building where it's all workforce.
Yes, sir.
I think that's important because we need to have more of that happening. Sometimes when you mix too much in one building, it doesn't get the response that people are really looking for. Certainly, for those that are coming in. So by having a building that's for the first time all workforce, I think they'll make a big difference here. So I appreciate you being here. I was just wondering if the guy that spoke before had a new nickname, but I'm glad that you're here. I would leave it to my other board members if they have any further questions, but I have none at this point in time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Coro, if I may, there are 52 affordable projects in the city of Miami. Not one is completely dedicated to workforce. I think that workforce right now is very important. It's probably more important than ever. And I believe that having that location within the central business district will do the city well and will allow us to serve those who truly serve us.
I agree.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir.
Vice Chair. Commissioners, any other questions? Commissioner Russell?
Yes, Chairman, thank you. And I certainly appreciate as well that this is also a new adventure for NR Investments, which was 4 years ago not in the affordable game at all. So recognizing what part of the city they're in and the objectives of the OMNI, I think they've adjusted well. My question is this within the T624B designation? And are you taking advantage of the additional FLR through that zoning change in order to fill the gaps financially to help us get there?
Well, this is part of your inclusionary zoning, Commissioner, that you put in place a couple of years back. So that's where we took advantage of the T624B.
Right. Obviously, you're going way above and beyond that through this. Between the TIF deal and the grant, you're able to give much more than what's required even in the inclusionary. But would you be able to do it without the inclusionary? Like if the inclusionary wasn't in place and the FLR wasn't there, the additional FLR, would this grant and TIF deal still be able to get as good of an affordable picture for us?
I think that the additional FLR definitely helped out to reach the maximum amount of units we could get. So I think that the additional FLR was important.
The reason I ask, and for the benefit of the other commissioners, I really believe this could be a template moving forward throughout the OMNI. It could be our best potential for tons of workforce housing. But it has to be in combination with that T624B zoning, which has not yet been applied. The map hasn't been applied. So it's something we will look at on the other side when we're wearing our other hats. But I just want to finish by saying that I really believe in this crisis, in what we're facing right now, in the recovery from this crisis, these housing options are going to be very, very crucial. And the CRAs could be one of our strongest weapons to help us recover economically and be a provider of jobs, housing, and just economic recovery. Even though that's not their primary mission, it's going to fit perfectly with what we're going to be needing to do. So I'm certainly supportive of this effort right now.
Thank you,
Commissioner. Any additional commissioners? Mr. Son, if you have any closing comments?
Sorry, Chairman. No. Thank you very much.
All right.
We appreciate your rigorous negotiations.
I promise the commissioner we're going to get through this meeting quickly, so let's just call the roll. Mr.
Chair,
Clerk.
is there a motion?
I move that we adopt Resolution 1.
Sorry, other than the chair,
Commissioner Russell moves.
I'll move it.
Seconded by Commissioner Carollo.
Second.
I was getting used to my role as chairman. I'm used to making motions, so I'm getting there.
So either you can do a roll call or vote it up or down. Your choice, sir.
Let's do a roll call.
Okay. Roll call on item RE1. Commissioner Hardiman.
4.
Commissioner Carrillo.
Yes.
Commissioner Russell.
Yes.
Chair Diaz de la Portilla.
Yes. And by your vote, the item passes. Congratulations, Mr. Soshani and Mr. Fana.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. Thank you, Chairman.
We're going to withdraw item 2 and item 3. Without any objection, show that withdrawn. We're now on item 4.
Chair, I'm sorry, I would prefer a motion.
There's a motion by Commissioner Carrillo, seconded by Commissioner Russell. So without objection, show that withdrawn. We're now on item 4. Mr. Walker.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Omni Redevelopment District Redevelopment Agency with attachments accepting grant funds in the amount of $500,000 from the State of Florida's Department of State to aid in the restoration of the CRA's property located at 1367 North Miami Avenue, Miami, Florida 33136, known as the Historic Bank Building, ratifying the attached documents and further authorizing the executive director to execute any and all necessary documents, all in the form acceptable to the general counsel for said purpose. This is a grant that we went out to seek last year for help with the restoration of the bank building that we purchased 2 years ago. We received the grant in the amount of $500,000, and this is a resolution accepting that grant.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Moved by Vice Chair Carrillo, seconded by, was there a second?
Sure, second.
Russell. Let's call a roll on item 4.
Roll call on item RE4. Commissioner Hardiman.
4.
Commissioner Russell.
Yes.
Commissioner Carrillo.
Yes.
Chair Diaz de la Portilla.
Yes. And by your vote.
Can we defer item 5, Chair?
You serious? It's going to be a short debate, and we'll talk a little bit about it. Allow me, Commissioner, because it's very limited in nature, and this is an item that it's a beginning of a very long process. Okay. What we want to do is just simply take the West Grove part of this of the CRA and their effort to become part of the CRA out of the mix. I had made comments when I assumed the chairman would hear that I would publicly, and I had told Commissioner Russell publicly that I would support if he had a proposal in the future, a CRA for the West Grove, that I would be very supportive of that proposal. That I would have no problem with the Grove area having their own CRA, so they could pursue and address the blight in that area, which is a concern to all Miamians, including me. The problem that we have is it's a very long process. First, getting rid of this particular part of it, and then we have to move forward with the interlocal agreements that we have, as you're aware of, Commissioner Carrillo, that we still need to negotiate. We have to move with the study of necessity. We have to move with the expansion that I committed to Commissioner Hardiman to do, to include parts of Liberty City, obviously parts of Alpata, the district that I represent, to make it contiguous to this particular CRA. It makes more sense to have it all in that one area instead of jumping from one end of the city to another end of the city. Areas that are not contiguous are not part of the same overall community. I support any future efforts to have the same kind of effort as an independent CRA for the West Grove area, but I think this is the first step and probably what will be a at least a year-long process. And if we don't start to move it forward, we're not going to get to where we need to get and begin to address some of these blighted areas that need to be addressed. We can't delay it anymore, Commissioner Carrillo. That's why I prefer not to defer. It's very limited in nature. It's only decommissioning, if you want to call it that part of the existing effort, or not pursuing that effort anymore. It was never part of the Omni CRA. It was just an effort to pursue it. They've been pursuing it for many years. I think Commissioner Russell's done a fantastic job, and I think he can do that in his district down in the Grove and with an independent CRA. All this does, it doesn't touch any of the agreements that we have, meet with the Bayfront Trust, with the Miami-Dade County. We're going to discuss all those. All those need to be negotiated. I think we're going to have. I'm a pretty tough negotiator, but I know you are too, Commissioner Carollo. So we're gonna get there. But we want to begin the process. All we're doing today is beginning that process. We're only doing that particular part of it. We're not doing anything else.
All right.
So I would like to move that part forward.
As long as you, as chairman, have counted your votes, that's all that I would caution you on, and that's fine.
Well, that's why we have it. We can only. I have pretty good political instinct, but I can't count votes. I can just guess. But it's a guesstimate, I guess. I think that Commissioner Russell may be supportive if I've given him this commitment that we'll explore his own district's CRA out in the West Grove.
What ever did happen with the county approving or disapproving the expansion?
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, you recognize Commissioner Russell.
Thank you. So we voted on this, and I think one of the public comments mentioned it was February of 2018. I thought it was 2019 in time. These things do take a long time. It's been sitting at the county, waiting for the political will to bring it forward to the board to accept the finding of necessity for the West Grove. We proved the need for slum and blight so long ago, but they haven't taken action. And part of it may have been the politics that it was tied together with this OMNI. The commissioner for the district of the OMNI area at the county level was not supportive of them being together. And I really believe that's what has held it up. And I've worked on that for so long, but I have to have a political reality and understand that it's just not going to happen at this point.
Okay.
So I've asked the city manager and the attorney to draft an item for the next commission meeting that would direct the manager to work with the county to push that finding of necessity forward. It's already there. We don't need to do anything else at our level to get them to accept that finding of necessity, to my understanding. Even though it's not married exclusively to the OMNI. The county can do whatever they want in terms of breaking it up and then bring it back to us, and we could bifurcate the redevelopment plan and everything. So I've asked them to bring something that would solidify our vote on that issue, directing the manager to do that, and that would send a message to the West Grove that this is not a negative, that taking it out of the OMNI is just the first step of creating its own standalone. And that's the hope.
Yeah, correct. And again, all this is obviously a political will, has a lot to do with it. The politics always plays a role in this. This part is a non-controversial part. There'll be other parts. We do have a change in government coming in at the county level. There are going to be 7 new commissioners, a new mayor, and that's going to happen in August. So there is a political change coming that we'll wait for. And that's when we take the next step. So it's everything in politics, as you well know, commissioners, it's about timing. This is the right timing for this to begin to decouple the West Grove dreams, which will be fulfilled through the city commission when we they have their own CRA, and begin to create a district that's contiguous and that makes more sense physically and economically for what we're trying to do. And all the next steps that will happen at the appropriate time, including the negotiations which I think is a little bit that we're giving the county too much. We don't know who's going to be the commissioner and Dade County commissioner in this area. I have a gut feeling who it's going to be. And I think that commissioner may very well be very receptive to what we're trying to do for the Alapata area, for the Liberty City area, and for the existing OMNI CRA. So we have to wait for the right time for everything. And I think this is a good time to just begin the process, because like Commissioner Russell said, it'll take, I said a year. I'm very aggressive with my politics in terms of trying to get things to move quickly. But I realize here in the city of Miami, it takes a little bit longer. But my goal is a year. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer, but I want to try to get there. We have to begin today. It's preferable to have the meetings in an open, not a virtual meeting, but this is a reality that we're facing in governing today. Miami must continue to govern. Its citizens must feel confident that its government is functioning on all cylinders and moving forward. And this is the first step in this process.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Russell, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you. I'd just like to ask Barnaby, if I'm correct on those steps, I'd like to make sure that the West Grove has a path. If we're removing it from the OMNI application, what is the correct legal path for us to create, as a city, working together with the county, a standalone CRA for the West Grove?
I'll work with the manager's office. We should be able to work on the previous study that was conducted that found that there was slum and blight within West Grove and the need to create a CRA. I'm obviously going from recollection, but I believe based on that information, we should be able to proceed.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments, commissioners? Seeing none, I think I'm more or less closed with that. So let's just call the roll on it.
Chair, is there a motion?
There's a motion. I'm sorry. There's a motion by Commissioner Russell, seconded by Vice Chair Carollo. Let's call the roll.
Roll call on item RE5. Commissioner Hardiman.
4.
That's 4, sir.
Yes.
Commissioner Carollo.
Yes.
Commissioner Russell.
Yes.
Chair Diaz de la Portilla.
Yes. And by your vote,
4-0.
the item passes 4-0. Thank you, Commissioner. I really appreciate the indulgence. I told you it was going to be a short meeting. Thank you, Barnaby. Thank you, Asaya Jones, our attorney. We didn't say much, but she was here present. Mr. Walker, Jason Walker, Executive Director, and commissioners for joining us, and have a good afternoon. Let's go to lunch now.
Chair, there's one last order of business. If I could just have a motion to approve the minutes, AM1 and AM2.
Oh, okay. There's a motion to approve the minutes by Commissioner Carollo, seconded by Commissioner Hardiman. Seeing no objection, show it adopted. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.